You sure? The Toronto Maple Leafs acquire Matt Murray from the Ottawa Senators. In fact, they acquired a few things from the Ottawa Senators. They acquired Matt Murray, 25% salary retained, a third-round pick, and a 7th-round pick. You can never have too many 7th-round picks. And in exchange, the Leafs give up future considerations. My bet is future considerations is nothing. Like, for example, sometimes a player will get traded for like a conditional 6th, a conditional 7th, and the condition is if the player re-signs, we give you the pick. If he doesn't, we just got him for free. Like how the Leafs got Kyle Clifford from the St. Louis Blues for considerations. I don't think they gave anything up, even though he re-signed. So listen, if you're one of those people who only comes to my channel for me to freak out, well, you're gonna get a little bit of what you expected, but if you're someone who has been watching for a while, you know that there are emotions, lots of them, and also there's, some consideration, some hard truths, some facts, a little bit of nuance in there. Google the word, it's a useful word. And listen, I'm the guy who makes trade tree videos on Sportsnet's YouTube channel where I look at how trades evolve over the years, decades even sometimes. I know full well that a trade the day it is made is not the trade that it will one day be. Sometimes a team can lose a trade for several years and then crush it. Having said that, if you want my immediate reaction to this trade stinks. No, like really, this trade is not good. It is the opposite of, dude, it could turn out good. We'll talk about how it could turn out good later, but my initial reaction is this stinks. Even if Murray returns to form, I think this trade is still underwhelming. Matt Murray said no to a deal at the draft. The Ottawa Senators were prepared to send the 7th overall pick to the Buffalo Sabres along with Matt Murray, and the Sabres were going to send the Sens the 13th pick. Now the Leafs and the Blackhawks did a little bit of pick swapping in there as well. The 25th for the 38th, however, to get rid of Mrazek, is a big difference from the 7th for the 13th. That is a big price, and the Sens were going to retain 25% of Murray's deal. And then Murray said no! So the Senators were already desperate enough to send Matt Murray to a team within the division and willing to give the 7th overall pick to a team within the division, and he said no! That is leverage for the Leafs. Now, the Senators' leverage is, who's going to play in net for you if we don't give you Matt Murray? And that is a good point, but I think an appropriate response would be a goalie who hasn't struggled for like 3 or 4 straight years! So Murray was making $6.25 against the cap. Here's what he's going to cost for the Leafs now. Matt Murray will count for $4.6875 million on the Leafs cap for the next 2 years. And that's important to note, and I'll tell you why. From Chris Johnston, there are currently 18 NHL goalies slated to carry a cap hit higher than Matt Murray's $4.68 million next season. Presumably, UFA's Jack Campbell and Darcy Kemper will come in above that line too. So there's already 18 goalies making more than what Matt Murray is making for the Leafs. And then if you add on what Kemper and Campbell are going to get, assuming that it's higher than 4.6 whatever, that means that Murray will be the 21st highest paid goalie in the NHL. Like, it's not exactly a high price. Goalies are expensive. And if Murray returns to form, A, 4.6 will be a more than fair price, and B, the Senators will have paid the Leafs to do it, and C, the Senators will have paid the Leafs to do it. Need to emphasize that the Leafs could get a good starting goaltender from a divisional rival, and their divisional rival paid them to do it. That's the best case scenario. And it's possible. But at the end of the day, this is an enormous gamble for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Enormous. And I'm so sick of hearing Dubas is betting his job on it. Again? You can't bet your job on something for the 2nd straight year. He got to keep his job because he almost won a round. And most people swallowed their pride and said, you know what? It's Tampa. It's Tampa. But he's betting his job on it. Blow it out your nose. It's hard to play in Toronto. It's hard to keep your job in Toronto. The only thing harder than playing and keeping your job in Toronto is getting fired. There are pessimistic ways to look at this and optimistic. Let's start with pessimistic. This is a bit gratuitous, but I'll humor them. 20,160 days since a cup. 870 days since losing to an AHL Zamboni driver. Really, it's not even 1,000. 0 days since acquiring a 4.7 million goalie who only won 5 games last season. 5! And this to me is the most important thing to note because it really pokes a hole in even the most optimistic views of this trade. Because I alluded to this on the podcast that we just recorded. There are a number of analytics out there on public sites, but I've also heard a number of analytics that teams keep individually, like internally within NHL teams, that look favorably on Matt Murray. Like from Ineffective Math, for example, Matt Murray, traded along with his hefty contract and 2 late picks to Toronto, has, in 20 games this season, looked decent. And if you go to his website, hockeyviz.com, you can see, yeah. And I really like the way Mike Kelly looks at this. Murray was limited to 20 games last season. In those games, he was good, ranking 3rd in the NHL in goals save above expected. In the 2 years prior, he ranked 47th and 51st. You're not making me feel better about this, Mike. Bet here he will be just fine on better defensive team. Health and consistency far from certain. And that last point is the most important one because his season fell apart in Ottawa despite the fact that he was making a rebound because of an injury. Another one! He's dealt with a number of injuries in his career, and I know he's still actually pretty young. It feels like he's played a lifetime in the National Hockey League. But the dude, he won the Stanley Cup, and that shouldn't be lost. He won the Stanley Cup twice while he was still an NHL-eligible rookie, which is an amazing accomplishment, but it also shows you how much hockey this guy's played. And you can definitely take risks on guys with injury histories, and it's obvious that the Leafs aren't afraid to do that. They've done that a number of times over the past few years, and it's paid off pretty well. Wayne Simmons, Tyler Ennis was a project who paid off really well. Andre Kasha, who the Leafs didn't qualify, by the way, but he played amazingly for the team this season before suffering another injury, unfortunately. And heck, even Jack Campbell, who had a really rough start to his NHL career, the Leafs were able to build into a guy. But how did they build him into a guy? How did they build him into this guy who was in the NHL All-Star game and a guy who is supposedly asking for 5 years times $5 million in free agency? The dude started as Freddie's backup. That's what he was meant to be. And he didn't become the starter until he needed to be. Now, by the end of it, he sort of took it from Freddie. It was a combination of Freddie got injured and also Campbell was the better goalie. Oh, so are they going to get Matt Murray that kind of support? Like, is he going to be the backup, the 1B to someone else? And the answer appears to be, From Pierre LeBrun, Leafs will keep looking for another goalie option as well. Someone with a reasonable price tag. Okay, so that already means cheap. Doesn't guarantee they will add another guy, but they will look at what's out there. Guys, when this season begins, Matt Murray is going to be the starting goaltender of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's what it is. That's 100% what it is. It's either they're going to start with Murray, Shalgren, and maybe Joseph Woll, actually, or they'll get someone cheaper, a veteran. Just thinking of names like Yaroslav Halak. There's a name. Braden Holtby's probably going to retire. All right, well, maybe Yaro Halak. That'd be cool. I could get behind that. Wouldn't get behind him as the starter. Like, reading between the lines of what Pierre LeBrun said there, where are they going to go out and find someone who's better? Someone who's cheaper? That person doesn't exist! Sorry, what I should say is that person absolutely does exist, and no one's trading them! Like, I've theorized for a while the Leafs might talk to Columbus about, like, Korpisalo, Joonas Korpisalo. Yeah, you remember the Columbus goalie who tortured the Leafs in the bubble? Yeah, he followed that up with an .894 season, and then last year, an .877. I had to look down to make sure it was right. Oof, Maroon. That's even worse than Mrazek. Mrazek was an .888 last year. Korpisalo was an .877. That's unusable. And the question I've seen out there is, well, what were the Leafs supposed to do? Fleury already signed in Minnesota, and the Devils went out and got Vanacek, and they're not going to be able to afford Kemper, and they're not going to be able to afford Campbell, and Mrazek wasn't very good, so they had to get rid of him. And there's a few other goalies out there, and they weren't going to work out, or they re-signed with their team, or this. The irrational yet cold way to look at this is the way that feels right to look at this. I don't care. I don't care what the Leafs were supposed to do. Win! Win! Literally win! What you were supposed to do is win. There are other teams out there, beat them. There are other teams out there competing for this goalie services or that goalie. Beat them! That's your job. What? What were you supposed to do? Do a better job! Every time you go into a corner with Zdeno Chara, what was I supposed to do? I don't know, lose then. Lose. And then they did! But I would watch teams actually beat him, and I would get a little miffed with the whole loser mentality of what were we supposed to do. Listen, I'm cheering for Matt Murray. I am. He's the Leafs starting goaltender. Look at all the Potvin stuff in my room. Curtis Joseph. I grew up loving all the Leafs goalies. James Reimer, who they could potentially get back, a third and a seventh that the Leafs got in the Ottawa deal. Oh my goodness, Murray-Reimer tandem! I love Leafs goalies. And if you're a Leaf fan and you're watching this, you're a Matt Murray fan. Yep, you just became one today. Yep, yeah, you did. Wait, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, cheer against him? You going to boo him? You boo him? I swear you go to Scotiabank Arena and you boo him. I am going to send such an angry letter. I'm going to send an angry letter directly to your mother. And she is going to reprimand you and pulling on your earlobe because you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan and you do not root against them, you silly goose. I'm cheering for him. But at the end of the day, the Leafs are one injury away, against an injury vulnerable player, one injury away from like a Källgren Woll tandem in net. And they're supposed to be going for it. What? They're supposed to be going for the division. They're supposed to be going for the President's Trophy. What? No! Absolutely not! Are you kidding? Surely that's not the plan! Ilya Samsonov became an unrestricted free agent today when the Washington Capitals didn't qualify him. There could be something there. Maybe that's the cheap option. And all of a sudden, if it's Matt Murray, Ilya Samsonov, okay, and then you have Källgren and Woll in the minors, I can get behind that a little bit better. But if the Leafs can't do that, if they can't add another cheaper guy, and if Murray falters or gets hurt and the cheaper guy they get doesn't work, and if Källgren doesn't work, and if Woll doesn't work, then you're heading into a mid-season trade while you're in free fall, calling teams around the league who cannot wait to absolutely fleece you. I'm so sick of looking at this as Kyle Dubas betting his job on it, or Brendan Shanahan betting his job on it. You're betting a season, a calendar year of Leafs fans' lives on this, man! We invest in this team like no other, and everyone talks about the financial might of Leaf fans just because of the size of the fan base. It's the passion! The passion that funds this thing, the passion that makes this run, and we dig into it. I'm mad that the Leafs haven't released their development camp roster, and I never saw an official tweet about them qualifying people and not qualifying people, and people were raging about it, and then Darren Dreger keeps doing like The Bachelor, and the deal is getting close, and the deal is happening tonight. When is it happening? Stuff like that. Game 1. Forget Game 1. The preseason, we invest. Game 1, we invest. All the way through 82, we invest. And we have periodic panic attacks and blood pressure problems, like around Christmas and the Christmas, the holiday trade deadline, and then the actual trade deadline, and then the playoffs start, and we invest with our whole chest. And if it doesn't work, it's just another year. Another year where the Leafs don't win and the fan base gets clowned on. Like, thanks, man. Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I tell you what, if this works out, Murray returns to form, he stays healthy, everything's fine. Because remember, there are situations, there's a possibility he could return to form, he could play well, and this trade still stinks because he's not able to stay in the lineup. But if he returns to form, if he plays well, if he stays healthy, if the Leafs make a run at the division, if they make a run at the President's Trophy, if they have a playoff run where they win a round or maybe 2, 3, or even 4, Kyle Dubas and his management group look truly brilliant because they made a bet and got paid for making that bet in assets and had salary retained. They made a bet that paid off, and they look like geniuses. They look like Nostradamus. But this is an absolutely enormous gamble to be taking on arguably the most important position in the sport. Here's another optimistic tweet. 4.6 for Matt Murray sucks. They should have paid to keep Jack Campbell for $5 million. Well, Murray had the best goals save above expected out of Matt Murray, Jake Allen, Jack Campbell by far, and Peter Mrazek by even farther. And it basically comes down to the next two tweets, and in the comment section, let me know which one you are. From Twisted Leafs, you're telling me we couldn't sign Campbell for 4.6 mil? At least we know what we're getting with him. And from Jacoby Leafs, Jack Campbell, who was in the AHL until he was 26 years old and had an all-world negative goals saved above expected last year, playing for the Maple Leafs, is a sure thing, but Matt Murray, who won 2 Stanley Cups by the time he was 23 years old and had a positive goal save above expected on the Sens, is a lost cause. Sarcasm, sarcasm. It's July 11th. We have so much off-season left, so much summer left and off-season left before the season begins, before training camp even begins, and the preseason. And this is going to be the rest of the summer, Leafs fans. So decide how much you value your mental health above Twitter, because I'm thinking after a couple days from now, you should maybe delete the thing. Because that's all it's going to be all summer. They can go out and get Evgeny Malkin and put him on like Tavares' wing. And it's like, okay, cool, who's stopping pucks? Wow. Like, the Leafs made a trade to address a weakness, to address a vacancy in their lineup, and it feels like there are now more questions than answers. From the Senators' end of things, Ian Mendes, as always, the best. Not giving up a roster player or a prospect while only retaining 25% of Murray's salary has to be seen as a win for Pierre Dorion. Sens GM has taken a ton of heat over the past few seasons, but damn, he's had a good week. Yeah, the Sens, who just got Alex DeBrincat, are, according to 32 Thoughts, like, they're in on Mackenzie Weegar, they might get Claude Giroux. Like, the Sens are buying right now, and the Leafs just helped them do it. I am cheering for Matt Murray with my whole chest. Him coming back and having an amazing season in the toughest hockey market to have an amazing season in would be nothing short of miraculous. But make no mistake, we're either watching what is going to be an amazing comeback story or the beginning of the end of the Auston Matthews Toronto Maple Leafs. 2 years left. 2. You have to do something with those 2 years. You have to do something with this upcoming season. If you don't, it's one of the biggest disasters in the history of the franchise. Zero hyperbole. I don't have a joke prepared. It's so all that's the organization. I want to end with the player, Matt Murray. If you're in his corner, you're a buddy of his, you're a family member of his, you're him. If you're watching this, I'm in your corner. Leafs fans, if they're smart, should be in your corner. If anyone boos after a goal, I'm just dreading the home opener, man. If anyone boos, you've lost your mind. You don't understand fandom. You don't... He's on the team, man! He's on the team. 4.6 for the next 2 seasons. He's here. He's the starter. They might get another guy. I doubt that guy's going to be the starter. And if he is, it's probably not going to be great. Matt Murray's the starter. You are cheering for him. You are cheering for this 2-time Stanley Cup champion with your whole heart. Do you have any other choice? No. Fair. But if the Leafs' long nightmare that began in 2004 or 1967, or however you look at it, if it ends with the amazing story of Matt Murray's resurgence, that'll be something I can get behind. And if it doesn't work, I don't want to know what this video is going to look like in about a year. So, what do you think? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. Please be nice. Really, be nice. But that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. We haven't even gotten to free agency yet. They're gonna trade like Kerfoot and Hall and maybe Muzzin or Sandine and oh, never a dull moment, huh?